In this video we're going to be looking at the second part of the automatic timetabling creation, and as you can see we're on the first page of this functionality, and we have the dot alongside automatic, and as we put it there, visually we won't see any difference in the steps. We've kept manual and automatic the same for good reference and support. But inside a number of these steps, once you put the dot into automatic, as you move through, you'll see quite distinct changes where Edge looks to assist you in creating optimized lines and automatically creating your classes populated with students so they get the best fit. So we'll move into the second step of the timetabling configuration. And here, initially it looks quite similar. As if you go through the manual mode, you have the courses the students have chosen, and you could actually add courses to students through this page if you so chose. You can click in here, slide down and choose a course for the student to have, or start typing and it'll filter down to the letter or number that you typed in. If you wanted to alter an existing course, simply highlight it on the student, press the delete key, and you'll then get the choices as you did if the cell was blank. The color combinations up here tell you the status, and ready to be moving on. You want them to be approved, and that's the usual process you may have in your school by the dean, who has gone in before you as the timetabler has then decided to take the courses and create lines from them. You can, in this area, work with a particular year level. So if I just chose that, we can see it very quickly zips down and just gives me a particular year level to work with. Or I could actually go back to all years, and then if I wanted to look at a particular course, I can just simply select that, and I get a nice subset I can work with at that point there. Once you've made the changes, then do click save so they are retained. The radio buttons in the middle here, we've got change course, which is what I was doing there. If I needed to change some status, let's go back to all of the courses. By clicking the blank at the top, I click over to change status, I get a few changes here, and I could be changing, if there were only some that were requested, I could be highlighting them and changing them to approve, so I could then move along with the process. And I've got reset selection over to the right here, which takes it all back to the defaults. On the next tab we have teachers. In here, either entered again through this interface by again clicking in a blank cell and choosing the course the teacher was available to teach, or as with the students, they could have been entered through the course area. And of course, as we mentioned in the first video, students could add their courses through the student portal set up through this area here. So we've got the students with the choices they're looking for, the teachers with what they're able to teach, and this is all brought together on the courses tab here, which looks rather different from if you were taking the manual version, because we have the mask. Now the essence of the mask is for you to then bring those two areas together, the students and the teachers, and with your knowledge of how you would like lines to be balanced and where junior lines are running as opposed to senior lines, you can then create the mask to suit that. When you first come in here, you will find by default that out to line J has the dash, which as you can see in here is giving you the choice of, if you put a Y into one of these cells, it's where the subject class should appear on the line. N, if you put that in, it should not appear on the line, and the one that you probably would try and use the most, the dash, may appear, which gives the algorithms underneath the best chance of balancing the lines. And so you've got a quick auto fill down. So if we were not having any subjects at all in line F, we just click in the very top row above everything, we would type it in, click out of the line, and we can see that auto fills all the way down very, very quickly. I'll go back in there because I actually want that to be maybe, so I'll put the dash in there, click away, and we're back to where we started from. Probably pretty normal, 6 lines in schools, but of course you can go further across and start to set up your lines for rotations later in the year if you so desired. So working left to right now, all our courses are appearing down the left hand side in the order, I guess, loosely called alphanumeric, and then the columns to the right of that, the number of students it's finding in the classes, the number of teachers assigned to those classes, preferred size. Now that was set up in the course area, so that was under curriculum and in the course summary. If you find there's one missing, because this is rather essential for the algorithms to try and balance classes where you have more than one class per subject, rather crucial it knows how many to try and spread across each of those. So if you've forgotten, or it's a new one that's been added without that figure, rather than left clicking into the course summary and picking that, just right click on course summary, open link in new tab. You can then move up to there, choose the course and add that information, and just a short way down in its heading in there, and that'll save you having to back out of there. So again, just re-encouraging the use of the right click to have a good efficient workflow. So we'll go back to where we were, we'll close this tab. So in here, your first piece of work might be deciding where you've got choices. So it's automatically filling in, based on your numbers and teachers, how many lines you want it to go across, but you do get the choice of changing that. So in this case, we've got 3 teachers, 53 students, and it's got 2 lines in there, but if you wanted that to go across to 3 lines, we can simply do that. Then of course over here, need to crank that up so it's 3 classes going across there. However, if it was 2 of the same teachers teaching 1 class, and then of course it would be back down to the 2, which is the reason that was 2 on there to start with. And so work your way down, altering any of these. So any courses that needed to be blocked, so you were trying to put say 2 or 3 classes into 1 line, so they're all running at once, and then you would probably come across here and put some ends and lines just to force into a particular line if you're aware that you needed a particular class or classes to go into certain lines before you started the mask doing its work. So that's your initial work as you move down there, and we've set it so that as you work across, if you click into a cell and you're wanting to say for junior classes a particular pattern, so if we only want say year 9 classes to be going in lines E and F, we can press N and the tab key to move across fairly quickly to N out the first 4 lines. And then because we have that particular pattern we want for all year 9s, we've got this feature here, apply selected row mask 2, and I'm going to go in here and choose year 9 and then apply the mask. It wants me to confirm that details that I've got on this case in 9 graphics, put it against all courses with a specified year level or levels. So I go OK, and very quickly I've now got year 9 all nicely done, and now I can go through and do a similar sort of operation with year 10. So a nice quick efficient way for me to get my mask up and running. And related to that, giving you the chance to have lots of versions of your mask. So once you run it and you see the results coming out in the lines, you can then go back and try a different version, save that by putting a new name into here, and then your saved mask will appear here for you to move around with as you work towards your final choice in your lines. So that is the process you need to work through, is blocking lines where you don't want subjects to run, maybe where you're giving it full choice about running across, and do that right through all the year levels, with perhaps the seniors being the most open, although as we talked about you may want to block certain ones into limiting what lines they go into. And then you can run the line generator down here, and it will then come up with a set of lines for you to have a look at, decide whether you're happy with how that's looking, and move forward from there. So rather than change the data I've got set in here, I've run the mask over in this other browser here and got a very brief subset of the output. So once I click generate lines, you get some feedback down the bottom, and that tells me in very brief you would have much more than this in your full size school. But in line A, there's 1 class and it's 10math.att.a. So Based on the course name, we're auto-naming the class. So we've got Temp Math and the teacher code after that, and the line it was put into after that. And we think that's a nice and efficient way to go. So you'll get a list down here, and you could choose to print that if you require by the simple method of Control P or right click and printing. And so we'll go back to our original mask over here, and we'll move on to the next page as if we had run that from this copy. And knows I've made changes, so it's been really nice to me around that. And I'll move on to the next step. And in here we get the lines it's generated over here, and we can use the year level tab to move across. And now there's a good example. It found some classes that didn't have a teacher assigned, so it's auto added the ZZZ code just as a placeholder really. And so that's just a handy way, and it reminds us, we've got them dotted around the place, that we've got new teachers arriving next year. They haven't been employed perhaps at this stage. We're not sure who they are, or there's still some working out to go about who's taking particular levels, and so the ZZZ reminds me of that. And we can see through all the year levels where our lines are, and we can start to decide if we're happy with how the placement looks. We can open up the little triangle. If we hadn't done some room, it could have been added at this point here. And further down we can see, please note the following classes have no teacher allocated, and again a reminder of the ZZZs. And again we could right click and print those out if we wanted that as a reminder. As we moved on over here, we have hide empty lines, and that just at a particular year level would hide those lines that didn't have classes in them, so we weren't distracted so much about the other content there. We'll just bring that back for now. Nice little thing here. If we take a particular class, and we can see we've got L2 Art in this line here. If I decided, okay, I'm going to move it off to a different line for now, so I can grab it, move it over to the other line, place it in there, and we can see it's still got .e on the end, but it's in line B. But if I come down here and go save, and it's talking about allocations, because I have worked through this here, I'll just go yes on that for now. And we can see that our class has been renamed automatically for us. So again, just helping you to keep things nice and tidy as you go through. So I'm going to put that back to where it came from, back over here, save that again, I'll get the same message, and then it's renamed it back to what it was as we go through. So in the next video, we're going to see what happens when we take this and confirm these and move on to auto creating our classes.